bad semifinal. Um, Ended up flipping my boat after the race. I won the race, and people kind of laughing at me from the boathouses, and when
Where was this?
This is in Philadelphia.
Philly, yeah. Yeah.
When you flip, they call the fire department, police.
Oh my God.
So it was awful, and everybody's looking at me. So I was kind of down about it, but I said, let me put this out of my mind. And as I was walking up, because Matt Nifty set it up so that I could have a place at Vesper Boathouse to race, and
Yeah.
one of the gentlemen loaned me his single. As I'm walking up to the top locker room, going up the stairs, still kind of feeling down, and I look to my right, and the picture is of Anita DeFrance with the
Oh.
tightest little afro. She's
Oh.
cold because this was in '78, so it was a year before I was born.
Right.
She's standing on the dock, but she's freezing. I'm looking, and I'm saying, she was here for it.
Yeah.
Look at all that she went through. You upset about this little bit of stuff?
I mean, it
Go out
makes
there
you
and
think
race.
that the little annoyances in, my life, it's nothing compared to, yeah.
And it's the funny thing, seeing her photo on the wall. I remember as a child looking in Jet magazine. And there
Uh-huh.
was this woman in this boat,
Oh my
and
God.
it was her. And when I saw it, I was always interested in rowing, but I was never afforded the opportunity.
Yeah.
So track and field became my
Yeah.
go-to sport.
Oh, so that's, yeah. So this is we were just talking, so
Yeah.
I'll introduce the show.
Okay.
We're back. That's okay. If I had to be formal, I would never get anything done. If I had to outline it.
That's right.
So yeah, you're watching live streaming from the head of the Charles. The community rowing has graciously given us a spot in their tent, and it's nice and warm in here. Well, sort of.
Somewhere.
If you jump up and down. But I'm here with Napoleon Griffin, who is I've been following for several years, including starting with the quad that you did a
In 2021.
U.S. rowing
Yes,
webinar,
yes.
and I think that's when I first sort of met you online. But it's so
Oak
so
Ridge.
great to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, yeah. So what our theme this weekend is tell your rowing story, and we've been talking for an hour already.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I've heard a lot about it, but just tell me how you got started, and it's been a kind of an exclusive sport, and you are a man of color, and you are an ambassador for the sport now. So tell us
Funny,
a
I
little
never
bit.
felt like I would
You
be
are
there.
you're an ambassador, Griffin.
Well, it's funny. Like I said, I was always interested in the sport. When I lived in Washington, D.C., I was still running.
Yeah.
And I would see the boats, Georgetown specifically, rowing.
Yeah.
And I used to always say to myself, I can do that.
Yeah.
I know I can do that.
Wow.
But I never had the opportunity.
Yeah.
So it just always was in the back
Did you
of
see
my
all
mind.
these white people going by?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Did you
And
think
but it
that-
looked fast. It looked fun.
It looked fast and fun. Yeah. Good
It
for
did.
you.
And it just looked so clean.
Yeah.
And so it was something I was always enamored with. And you would see it for the Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing them listing who was in the boat, where they were from. And they were all from all these different states. How did they get in this boat? How did they do this? And that's all I knew.
Yeah.
So years later, I was back in Puerto Rico on a training run.
That's where you're from.
Well, yes and no.
Yeah,
I
okay.
spent many years there,
I
back
see,
and
okay.
forth. Yes.
Right.
So I see some people in a single, small boat just by themselves. I said, man, I'm in Puerto Rico. Oh my God. So I was out on just a training run. So I ran over to the boathouse. I said, how long would it take for me to learn how to do that? He said, oh, about an hour.
About an hour.
It's
A lifetime.
naive and believing it all. So I said, okay, I want to learn how to do this. So he takes me out and puts me into a racing shell. No training shells, nothing like that.
You
We
mean
have
your
a
first experience?
first time. Wet dock. So all you do is the boat is in the water, you straddle it, you put your feet in.
Did he tell you to keep the oars? I mean,
Not much. No,
it was a single.
it was a single. So I got in, fell right out of it. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't like this. This might not work out well for me. And he's like, no, just give it a shot. And within an hour, I was paddling.
No way.
It was awful looking,
Yeah.
but I was upright.
Yeah.
Partly because I was terrified to fall in the water. Because, see, the difference in Puerto Rico is you have in the Laguna and Condado, you have manatee,
Oh yeah.
electric eel, shark, Stingray, other things there.
Yes.
So you have an
You have a
extra
motivation.
incentive to stay upright, right? So I made sure that I could sit upright, and
Yeah.
blades would barely come off the water. That's all you would hear,
Shit.
and it
Yeah.
was just scraping, but it
I,
worked.
I'm going to keep talking. I'm going
Sure.
to. We're rolling. I just need to get the
Yeah,
video.
yeah. And so I was able to keep upright, and within an hour I was rowing. And he says, I think you could have a future in this sport if you stay with it. And so I decided to do that. And then Hurricane Irma came along a few months later, and then followed by Maria. And so then that's when I transitioned over to Texas. I decided that I had to leave Puerto Rico if I wanted to continue rowing and get better. And so I decided to leave, and I said, I have to make a choice. Where will I go? It has to be somewhere warm. So it was either Florida or Texas.
Yeah.
And I don't like alligators, so Florida was out. So I chose Texas, and I said, if I'm going to go to Texas, I need to go to the
So
capital.
there's no alligators in Texas?
Not in Austin. There's some in,
Okay. Yeah.
but not where I am.
Yeah, I've done rowing camps at All-American Rowing Camp in Florida, and we rode by the alligators. But there's a coach there, so
My luck, I'll end up being next to the one that's really hungry, so
yeah.
I just don't want to risk it.
One jumped in the water when I rode by.
Oh, no.
It's like, and I thought, I never rode so fast.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know what might happen. It's
Yeah.
funny because the UT women in 21 at the NCAA championships in their semifinal, as they're going up to the start, they said that they felt a bump.
Yeah.
Alligator knocked the skeg off
Holy
the boat
cow.
right before they
Knocked
start. Delayed the race, had to go back, had to get out.
Yeah.
They had a coach had to jam it one end real quickly and just go out. No
Yeah.
warm, just to test it. Went out, won the semifinal. But that was some crazy. But they ended up winning the NCAA title it was a tie. But
Yeah.
whichever V1 boat won it, they would win.
Yeah.
And I have to say this because of the young lady who stroked it, Kate Nifton.
Uh-huh.
And I remember her when she was still in high school. When I first came to Texas, it was her senior year of high school, and she was going to go to UT. And her freshman year, UT finished second. She was the bow.
Mhm.
And she said, I feel like I could have taken it up. I feel like I could have taken it up. Well, COVID hit, no championship. 21 comes, she's a stroke. With the last 500 meters, she was a stroke. She took UT up. They ended up winning, and they won the NCAA
Yeah,
title.
that was magnificent.
One of the best
Yeah.
moments, and it was so funny because I think about all that came, the build up to it, but that alligator knocking the skeg off,
Yeah.
it adds more to it. But being at Texas, and I'm so glad that I came to Austin. I've been able to surround myself with some fantastic rowers,
Yeah.
master's level, junior level, elite level, because they're the high performance there now.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable. And you meet some big names. Like I got to meet Magdalena Lubnik and her sister. She's the
Wow.
Olympic bronze medalist in the single.
Okay.
She wanted a Texas shirt, so I gave her 2 of my million meters challenge shirts that I won, and she gave me an Austrian rowing, and she signed it. So it's framed in my
You
urban.
got a bunch of good collectibles, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So when did you transition from running as your main?
I ran track.
You still ran?
No.
No.
I have not run in a long time now.
Yeah.
It's weird to hear myself say that, but because running was my life.
Yeah.
I would eat, breathe, and sleep track and field. And I still love it and can quote the statistics and all those things, but rowing has really become my love now.
Yeah.
But I ran track from the time my mother says I was 18 months old in my first race. I ran at the Baby Olympics and I won.
So you've always been kind of competitive.
Always.
Yeah.
And continued running all through age group track, high school, into collegiate athletics as well. Ran track
Sure.
in college. And then after college, I continued running. And I was racing and competing. And then I ended up being diagnosed with male breast cancer.
Oh, right.
And so that changed everything.
Yeah.
So I took some time off and was trying to get better and get healthy.
Yeah.
And once it was all over, I called my old college track coach. I said, his name is Musa Williams. I said, Musa, I want to run again. He said, when you want to start? I said, give me 2 days. I said, I want to just make sure I'm okay. I said,
Get my
"Let's
mind into
rest.
it."
Yeah. And so we started. He wrote out a plan. We started working on it. He said, what's your goal? I said, Ousters Nationals. He said, okay, let's get started. And so I started my training, and everything he gave me down to the letter. And I ran my first collegiate race against some college guys, old as I am. I was 30 by now. And I beat them all. Ended up winning. It was at Indiana Wesleyan because I was finishing up all my treatment in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So I remained there.
So you're still in treatment?
I just finished my treatment, but I was still living.
Okay, yeah.
And I beat all of them. And then I had 3 more weeks of training, and I raced another race. And I went to Arlington, Virginia. I went back to the DC area, won there. So then I had another month of training, and I raced in the qualifiers, that we call it, like your sectionals before Masters Nationals. And I wanted to do the mile 800-meter double, but it was intentional. I wanted to run the mile first, and my coach would always do that. You are training through your competitions. So I ran the mile, and 45 minutes later, it was time to run the 800. I was going to have a little bit heavier legs, have more fatigue. That was the goal. I won the mile, won the 800. I was ready. And so now was my taper down. When I got to the national championships, I ran 5 seconds faster in the finals, ended up winning. And I remember when I called him. That was one of the best feelings ever.
I bet.
And he said, now, let's focus for outdoor. You got to make sure that indoor was not a fluke. That's just how he thinks. And that's what we did. I won outdoors as well. And then I ran the 1500 just for see what I could do, and ended up getting third. So I hadn't trained for it.
Yeah.
But he was like, if you can run a decent 800, you should be able to run a decent 1500.
There's different strategies for different
Absolutely.
distances. Yeah. I mean, I know that from racing the head of the Charles. You know, you can't just kill it at the beginning,
right.
or you will not
That's right.
do well. Yeah.
And so after I had some success, I won the 800 indoors and the outdoors, won the outdoors again. 13, won everything, went over to Italy and won the World Masters Games in 800, 1500, and set championship records in both. And I was like, okay, this is going well. I had a few more years of running, and I kind of found myself like, I've done everything I can do in Masters track now. I want to try something new. And when I saw rowing, I wanted to do it. I wanted to try. It would be a new challenge, something to learn. I would have to start from the basement.
And that time you were living in?
I was still living in Puerto Rico. And I knew Puerto Rico could offer you certain things, but you couldn't get the same coaching there because on the Laguna, you don't have motorized vehicles that are allowed out or motorized
you can't pick coaches.
So we had a walkie-talkie that would be in the boat. They would have a walkie-talkie on the shore and binoculars.
Now you can have a drone up here.
Right, and that's how you were coached. And I remember thinking, I love Puerto Rico, but I'm never going to get better if I stay here.
Yeah.
And so I decided I'm going to have to leave.
That's cool that you knew that.
I did. I knew.
And you had the drive.
I knew that there was only so much that I was going to be able to learn. It's kind of like when you are in athletics, certain coaches can take you to a certain point, but another coach can take you higher.
Yeah, and sometimes I just as a master's rower, I change coaches and I find something else new that I can, so I have these little epiphanies, that's what you meant. That's what the other guy meant.
Favorite word, epiphany.
Yeah.
She loves that word.
It's a rowing epiphany.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, I've heard this 1,000 times, but
it clicks now, right?
Clicks. Yeah.
It's something about their delivery. Yeah. And I know with sculling, Tracy Falkenthal and Davis Caldwell. Davis was my first coach, and then Tracy came along later. They really helped. Davis taught me how to row in a straight line in a shell. I didn't know how. And then Tracy really taught me how to really use my power and really lever myself behind those oars. And my doubles partner, Donnie, taught me suspension. Yeah. And we ended up becoming so successful in the double. It was the shortest guys in the race. Yeah. I'm the oldest man in the race, and I'm 16 years older than him. Yeah. But we mesh with. It's like we're twins. We have the same height, same weight, same shoe size.
That's the cool thing about masters rowing. You can, when your technique improves, you can really blow.
And he's just fantastic. He rowed in Henley in college. Donnie Jensen. He rowed in Henley. He rowed the bow for. Let me make sure I get it right for Grand Valley.
Okay.
Yes, Grand Valley. And he rode, and they made it to the semis. They got bumped out in the semifinal, but he rode a great experience. Race. Yeah, absolutely. And having someone like that, even though he's younger than I am, to teach me so much. He's been so pivotal. The first gold medal I ever won in rowing was with him.
Aww.
The first race I ever won was with him. And every time we raced, we won medals. We never lost a race in the state of Texas. And we've been on the podium multiple times. Never lost a race.
No wonder you're legendary.
I had a gold mine in the stroke seat. I felt like, it's a big stretch to say this, but you know how Hamish Bond and Eric Murray, and they would always say how Eric Murray was so lucky to have Hamish Bond as the stroke.
Hamish Mon.
Hamish Bond, he was the
Okay.
stroke of the pair, the Kiwi pair.
Is he
Phenomenal.
German?
Oh, from New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
Won 2 gold medals in the pair in the Olympics, and then was also, I believe he was 2 seat of the 8 that won in Tokyo. And he was a cyclist. I mean, he left rowing for a little while after Eric Murray retired. He ended up winning a bronze medal in the Commonwealth Games in cycling.
Wow.
But I was kind of like Eric Murray, a little bit older, and he had this fantastic athlete in front of him, Hamish Bond, who could just go at a stroke rate all day, didn't matter. I had that same thing with Donnie, just phenomenal. So look at him, you were like, okay, he just looks like a regular guy. Please, we always pick and say he's 80% quads. I'm telling you, this guy's phenomenal.
Those quads.
He really does, and
Yeah.
he just rolls so well.
My coach just told me I had an epiphany about getting your knees down before your arms crossed, your hands crossed.
Yeah.
So I finally got that, and I went up like the split was amazing. I love it.
He taught me that, and then now I'm with Coach Mark. Coach Mark was a 78 World Championship medalist with his brother in the pair. He won Royal Henley with his brother in the pair. He was a 7'6" Olympian, and he is one of my coaches at TRC. And he has worked with me and has taught me so much with sweep.
Yeah.
And
So you do mostly sweep now, or
it's funny. I'm transitioning over to sweep.
yeah?
I used to only
I
skull,
like
and that
the
was
unity
it.
of it. You know, that
Yes.
when you get that,
Yes.
you know.
And I wanted to start sweeping, and I wanted it so bad. I put together a straight four. We started working back in February. We raced at nationals in Indianapolis and
And
won a
won.
bronze. We got bronze in the straight four.
Yeah.
That was so emotional for me because Indianapolis was where I did all my cancer treatment.
Oh.
And I said, I was at my weakest at one point when I lived here.
Yeah.
And now I'm at my strongest.
Yeah.
And
Can I ask how old you are?
I am 44. I turned 44 October the 12th. Yes, I just had my birthday.
Well, one of our themes at Ready Row USA is life imitates rowing. And
Yes,
we were
indeed.
talking about that earlier. I mean, one might think you're a professional athlete, but you do something else, right?
Yes, I do.
Yes, and you teach your kids that about life
I
lessons.
do. I teach 5th grade math and science at Presidential Elementary in Mena, Texas. As they
In-
say, in Mena.
In
Or
Mena.
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 In Maynard, Texas. That's
Maynard,
right.
Maine.
Yes.
My husband's from Texas.
Yes, as my kids say, I'm from Texas. But I love it there.
Yeah.
I have some of the best administrators. I can't not mention my team.
Yeah.
Miss Guyton,
This guy,
Miss Rowland.
Roland.
Miss Rowland is the assistant principal. Miss Pegues is the assistant principal. And Miss Guyton is the principal.
Yes.
And my co-workers, Miss Calderon, Miss Easley,
Yeah.
and Miss Dean.
I'm so glad you get-
Those are my friends. We get along and we
Yeah.
all love each other and we work well together.
Well, teachers are heroes. You know, they're creating citizens for
It's a
the
lot.
future. You know.
Yes, it is. It's a lot of factors now that children deal with that I didn't have to deal with growing up.
Yeah.
You know?
Do
And
you
I
have
hate
the
that.
I hate to say it, but you know, the school
Yes.
drills.
We have active shooter drills.
Oh
We
Jesus.
sure do. But I also have an alarm that I can set at my phone.
Yeah.
The kids know exactly where to go.
Oh good. Yeah.
It's immediate. Because my thing is I always tell the children when I speak, you need to listen.
Yeah.
Because if there's an emergency, you need to move there.
Yeah.
So you need to use your ears and move.
Yeah.
And they know it, and it's immediate.
Do
And
they
so-
know about your rowing?
Oh yes, they
Yeah.
know all about my role.
Do you bring them to?
Yes, they've seen medals, they've seen videos,
Yeah.
and I also taught Ms. Rowland. It was
Yeah.
it was so ingenious. This summer they had summer school, and she said I was going to teach something academic. I was going to teach science. I started looking at different projects and science projects I could do with the children. She said, "Teach rowing. That's what you do and you love it. Why not?" So she
Well,
collaborated
you
with
can do
boys.
math with rowing.
And I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Do you know Neil Bergenroth? He's in Oklahoma. And he does a lot with STEM. You know.
Stem to stern.
Yeah. No, science, technology, and math. you know,
Really?
and rowing. And he's done some extensive research on how to connect him with you.
I would love that because I do that because we're talking about meters and distance,
Yeah.
stroke rate, all these things.
Yeah,
and
absolutely,
I try to incorporate. I'll make problems like that. So that's what we did. My first day, So she said, teach rowing. It's what you love. It's what you do. It's easy to do.
Yeah.
So I taught it, and I made it like a nightclub. I had the musical, the nightclub lights, and it would go with the music. I had a huge bass speaker, and I had all the music going. Everybody's
Mirrorball.
like, oh, we had a good time. I was like, I wanna come to your rowing class.
Yeah.
So Boys and Girls Club allowed us to utilize 8 ergs, and I took my classroom, took out all the desks, and put in ergs. And some of the children who were in my homeroom this year were in my summer enrichment program.
Yeah.
And so before we started, I would have a math problem, a word math problem, because I want the children to read but also incorporate this and not be fooled by it in word form
Yeah.
or in numerical form. And they would have to figure it out. Once we figured it out, it was time to hit.
I love it.
We did race pieces where I would set everyone's erg so they'll have a race and a competition. We had pieces where you had to do it throughout the song.
Yeah.
And I would get on the erg sometimes and row with them as well, or erg with them. They loved it. It was a success. And then staff were like, okay, the kids are having so much fun. I want to come. Can I come? So they did. So I said, this fall, why not? I'll start a staff erging class. I'll have it once a week. Be a good way to release stress because I love to erg in the morning before I come to work.
Is that what you do? I mean, like, is that how you fit in your
yes,
training?
ma'am.
Yeah.
I get up at 3:45 in the
What
morning.
the actual?
3:45 a.m. So I can erg by 4. So from 4 until 5:30.
And that's is that because why do you not do it at the end of the day?
Oh, I do it again at the end.
Oh,
So I have to get all my meters in.
okay.
So I'm not Mr. Million meters for nothing.
Okay.
So I put in 30 to 40K a day. So, oh yeah, I've won the meters challenge with Dallas Rowing Club and Texas Rowing Center every year. I logged 5 million plus meters in 12 weeks when I was last year with TRC.
No wonder you're.
I wanted to put the record so far away.
Do you do the Concept 2 challenges?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have all the shirts. Like I actually have my shirt with me that has one of my shirts, the 5 million meters club.
Yeah.
So right now I'm at the 22 million meter club.
Yeah.
So it was.
And this is to maximize your fitness.
Yes, because I believe in a big engine.
Yeah.
I am not tall.
Yeah.
I am not massive.
But you,
I'm fit.
Yeah.
And I'm fast because I was a runner.
Yeah. Okay.
But I believe that in order to be an effective rower, I have to have a big engine.
Yeah.
But my coach stressed that as a middle distance runner. Even though I ran the 800, I still trained as though I could run the 10,000.
Mhm.
So I was doing 80 to 90 miles a week. That was Musa Williams, one of the best distance coaches ever.
Musa Williams?
Musa Williams. He
Okay.
changed my life literally as an athlete.
Yeah.
And he instilled that in me. And I carried that from track into rowing.
Yeah.
And I just believe that putting in that base,
Yeah.
a strong house is only as strong as its foundation.
And it
I have that
serves you
strong-
for life.
It does.
Yeah.
It teaches that work ethic and discipline. And I'm fit. I love the fact that I'm 44 and my waistline is still a 29, 28, 29, depending on part of the year.
But we were talking earlier, one of the most memorable things you were talking about seeing the picture of Anita de France. Can you tell us about that? Because I think your experience, I mean, you set your eyes on a goal and you did it. But there are a lot of things along the way that helped.
How I figured out who she was I was looking at a magazine one day, Jet magazine.
Yeah.
And there was this picture of this woman in a boat with an oar in her hand.
Little afro.
It had a little afro, just as neat and tight.
I love that picture.
And I read,
It's
yes,
great.
and I read it, and it was about Anita de France, and she was a rower. And I said, oh. And then she won an Olympic medal in 1976, an Olympic bronze. And I just remember that. Everybody says I have a elephant memory. I have a memory like an elephant, but I never forget anything.
The names that you know, I mean,
I've always been like that. I like those who have come before
yeah.
because they
And
paved
it
the
honors
way.
them to
It
remember
does.
them.
And not just in rowing, but in tennis, like
Yeah.
Althea Gibson, Arthur Ashe, and even Zena Garrison. She was one of those who paved the way before Venus and Serena.
Yeah.
And then it just took it to another level. And I love that.
Yeah.
And Anita was definitely, she was the first. And then you had Q, who came after her.
Akil, yeah.
And 2004, when he made the Olympic final in the double, and they finished in sixth. That was fantastic. A gentleman out of Southeast Washington, D.C. You know, and then you had David Banks, who was the bow of the U.S. men's 8 in London. They finished fourth, just missed the medal. But I've never met David, but I just revere him.
Yeah.
NQ. I just really do, and I love what they've done
Yeah.
for the sport. But remember seeing that picture of Anita, and years passed, and then I got into the sport of rowing, and I had a mishap in the school pool, and I won my semifinal, and I flipped my boat, and everybody's laughing. At me.
Everybody's done
They're
it.
picking at me, and it made me feel bad, you know. And my coach said, "Let it go. Don't worry about it." And I don't know. I just felt like maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Maybe I shouldn't be here because my coach suggested that I go to the Independence Day Regatta in Philadelphia. So I flew from Texas, and Matt Nifton set it up with Vespa Boathouse, and so I had a boat to be able to use, and all those things were set up for me. I went there and I rode well, and then had that flip, and it just kind of knocked down my confidence a little bit. But as I was walking up those stairs to go up to change in the locker room, I looked to my right side on that stairwell, and there's a picture of Anita Define. Same tight afro.
Yeah.
She was standing on the dock. She was cold,
Yeah.
but she had won. They were presenting her with an award. And I said, here she is again.
She's
Paved the way.
following
And
you.
I said, she was
spiritually.
in this boathouse.
Yeah.
She's been on these stairs.
Yeah.
I'm literally where she was.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to roll in the water, and she trained on it, has raced on it. Go out there and do what you're supposed to do.
And I find it cool that you were inspired by a woman
Absolutely.
or a man. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, my thing is I can pull a great story is a great story. An inspiration doesn't matter what gender.
Yeah.
Because like even when it comes to rowers, she just retired not too long ago was Janine DeMello, a very shorter, more compact single sculler. She's a world champion in 2017. Won Henley, all those things. And I reached out to her on Instagram. I said, I love your rowing technique. Your juniors coach is now here in Texas. And she was like, really? I said, yes. And so we were talking. I said, I'm such a fan. And she said, okay, I'll send you something. She sent me an autographed postcard from Switzerland. She said, I'll be in Tokyo, but after I get back from Tokyo, I'll send it. And she really did. And it's framed. It's on my wall.
That is like people that follow through like that. You know,
it's unbelievable.
What is it? Somebody said, it's that poet. You have a better memory than I do, but she said, you know, people may not remember what you did, but they'll remember how you made them feel.
That's right. It's true. It's very true. How someone made you feel.
Yeah.
That's right. And that lasts for a lifetime. And it's on my awards wall.
Yeah.
And I have multiple people up. And I'm appreciative of it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, what else? What do you see as it's the positive things that are happening in rowing, or something that needs to be done? What do you think we can all do to expand the sport and make it more fulfilling?
I see things that are being done.
Yeah.
And as a result of them being done, I'm seeing a change.
You are.
Yes, I am. I'm seeing diversity. I'm seeing inclusion and more equity in the sport. And as a result, I am not the only person that looks like me at regattas anymore. I remember when I would go to a regatta and I might see one other person who looked like me, and we would instantly speak to each other. It was almost like, hey, how you doing? It's like we are new to we didn't. So, but now I'm seeing that more. Certain barriers will be broken down.
Yeah.
Certain ideologies, I have to say, are dissolving.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that what used to be a sport that was looked at as, oh, no one will do that, or why would you do that? Now I'm saying, I want to try rowing.
Yeah.
By being in the sport myself, and now there are others who look like me who are coming into it, people say, I should give this a try. Yeah. And as some people who have started and have fell in love with the sport, and they're like, why didn't I do this years ago?
Well, in expanding it and being inclusive is it's healthy for the sport for everyone.
Yes,
it's not just.
And I'm seeing
you're not giving up any.
And it's starting from the ground floor with the youth.
Yeah.
Because if you're starting with that kind of will change the thinking. Yeah. Because if they're being exposed to it early, they can also tell other people who may be older, hey, I'm doing this. Look how young I am. Yeah. And I love it. Oh, you should give it a try. And as they continue to grow up, it will continue to grow. Because I'm noticing that, especially the school where I teach, it's more minority children. I have a lot of children who are Latino and Black American and African. Mm-hmm. And so because I speak Spanish, the kids, there's no barrier there.
That's
and awesome. They love the fact that I row, so they want to row too. And their parents will say, well, okay. I say, come on down to Texas Rowing Center. And they want to give it a shot.
Do they have a youth, like a like a
Ooh.
middle school, high school program?
Texas Rowing Center has a huge
Ooh,
juniors
nice.
program. Oh,
Nice,
absolutely.
nice.
They have a
Isn't there
very
something
good.
called Texas Juniors? Or
Yeah, the Texas Rowing Center juniors. They're here racing today.
Yeah, I thought
You have
so.
some of the junior boys, the junior ladies, and they have a novice program. And one of my good friends, Alex Sutherland, who's from Scotland, but he was went to UT and rode there collegiately, and he has remained in Texas, and he is actually one of the coaches with some of the novice boys. Susanna Tenning, who rode for UT through her collegiate days, is from the Netherlands. She is also a coach there now, and my pair partner sometimes. And we go out and row together.
Well, I don't know where you get your energy, but I think it's probably from the 10, 20,000, 30,000 meters a day.
You know,
Have you done it today? Did you row today?
I did. I raced today.
But you can go down to RP3.
Oh, that's not going to happen.
You raced today, yeah.
That's not. So this is actually one of my coaches right there. Yeah, he was one of the coaches that worked with us for our all black quad in 21. Yeah.
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to see you and to talk to you in person. I just am so honored.
I'm so glad you reached out.
Yeah, and Jenny Treyas of U.S. Rowing
Love
connected us.
Yeah.
She's
so sweet and so cool. Everything about her.
U.S. Rowing is really lucky to have her.
Her and Jess Jackson.
Jess Jackson, yes.
Yes, that's my buddy.
Are they still doing the? They had some monthly calls or something.
Yes, we do that because I'm on the DEI committee
Nice.
as well. So I get to see them. The good thing is I get to at least talk to Jess and Jenny at least once a month.
You're lucky. You're lucky, dog.
I love it. But we have some really cool people. But one thing I wanted to mention, I am racing in the Director's Challenge today. It's the last event of the regatta.
Okay.
And I'm racing with Steady State Podcast Network.
Great.
And this is for
Tara Morgan and Rachel
Freeman. That's right.
Yes.
They put together a boat that is straight, gay, black, white, people from all over.
They call that the inclusion?
The inclusion boat.
I love
and
it.
This boat represents everybody. Trent, Botnom, everything. I don't want to just start listing and forget anything. But we have one gentleman who came from the Netherlands just to row in this boat today. And he brought me the strudels. I love those little cakes.
The cakes, yeah.
And he brought me. So I said, how much for one? He said, don't worry about bringing it. And he really did.
I can taste them now.
I have one if you want one.
I want one.
Yeah, I'll give you one. Absolutely.
Okay, well let's continue this because I'd love to hear more as you go through
Absolutely.
life.
Yes, indeed.
And it's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you so much. All right.
Welcome.
Yeah. All right, we'll be back 12 with Peter Kermond of Burnham Boat Slings and hear his rowing story. Thanks again. Bye.